Croiso friends, welcome back to Opus Eleni, where we relentlessly fangirl over queer pirates. By now I figure most of you croissants will have at least heard of HBO's queer pirate romp Our Flag Means Death. It's the story of Stede Bonnet, who has a midlife crisis and runs away to sea to become a pirate, which I feel is super relatable. He meets and falls for the infamous pirate Blackbeard, played to deadpan perfection by Taika Waititi. I love that the queer subtext is actually text, and Stede's late-in-life queer awakening is super relatable, for me at least. The rest of the crew is delightfully and joyfully queer as well, from non-binary icon Jim, played by non-binary actor Vico Ortiz, adorable couple Lucius and Black Pete, fantastically gender non-conforming Spanish Jackie. It's basically every single Ren Fair pirate's gay dream. And I know this because I recently went to my local Ren Fair all dressed up as, and I quote the text message to my bestie, an extra from Our Flag Means Death, but played by a fae. And in case you wondered, this was the result. So what does that have to do with today's video? Great question, I would love to tell you. I've been working on expanding my Historybounding wardrobe over the course of the last year or so, and I felt like this show was the perfect excuse to whip up another pair of 1700 stays, in black this time, and a matching black and white striped midi-length petticoat to add to said wardrobe. Once that's all done, I'll style them both a couple of different ways, because I am complete trash for this aesthetic. So everyone go grab your cuppa. Today I am drinking Low Country. It is a black tea with bourbon and burnt sugar notes from August Uncommon. This was part of a sampler pack that a friend sent me. It has notes of burnt sugar, buckwheat, chicory, and bourbon, and if you've also had a rough month, makes for a really lovely hot toddy with your favorite rum or other brown liquor. Let's get into it. I'm starting off by making a nice clean trace of my stays pattern. You may recall the fight that I had with the red threaded 1780s stays pattern last year. The original printout shows the scars. I'm still not convinced this is the final iteration of the pattern. I think it may need to be shortened a bit. That's a task for future me though. I'm using white cotton twill for the lining and interlining. It's not as strong as coutil, but it'll do. One thing I think was more successful on the heart stays was using my big light table to trace the boning channels onto the twill. That's okay though, I'm still learning new things. The fashion fabric is leftover quilting cotton from the last time I made pajama pants for myself. Don't tell the fashion police. Next up, sewing the fashion fabric and interlining together around the perimeter of all the pieces. This will allow me to treat this as one layer going forward. After that, I'll sew the front and side pieces together on both fashion shell and lining, then sew those together at the front edges to create the boning channels where the lacing grommets will go. In order to make sure that the layers don't shift or move much while I sew the rest of the boning channels, I'm basting them all together with some old thread. You could baste the pieces with pins, but they're stabby and also tend to come out while moving the stays around. Thread basting takes longer, but is less fiddly in the long run. Next, it's just a matter of sewing up the boning channels. I'm trying to be really precise about straight, even lines and sharp corners. This helps the boning stay snugly in place. For this set of stays, I'm using industrial strength zip ties for the boning. It's a bit wider than the synthetic whalebone I used on the heart stays, so I'm sewing around the outside of the traced lines. Once the boning is in place, I'll finish cutting out the waist tabs. After a brief tea break, it's time to bind the top and bottom. This time I'm using black cotton twill tape. It doesn't go around the curves quite as easily as bias tape, but that's okay. The tight curves I'll sew by hand, and the straighter edges I will sew down on the machine. The last two steps in the construction are sewing the back and side pieces together and serging the raw edges, and then setting the garments, which I totally forgot to get any footage of. Thank you to all my current and continuing Ko-fi members. Your support and the support of all of my members and croissants makes it easier to do what I do and provide quality content for everyone. Thank you so much. Stick around after this brief commercial break for this striped skirt. This petticoat is built along the same basic lines as the red one I made in the Heart Stays video. I took my striped quilting cotton, still our little secret, and cut the length into thirds. Then I cut one of those pieces in half and attached each half to the other two lengths. This was to make sure that the fabric was wide enough, since my original red skirt was made of 60-inch wide fabric and this cotton was only 45 inches wide. I pleated the resulting pieces down to half my waist measurement plus 2 inches in order to have the front and back overlap at the side seams and encase the pleated edges in matching black cotton twill tape. Once that was done, I sewed up the side seams, leaving a 6-inch opening at the top of the seam where the pleats are. The bottom edge was then finished with a 1/2 inch rolled hem before folding the side openings under and hemming them into place as well. Thanks for joining me today, friends. I had a ton of fun making these pieces, and I'm looking forward to rolling them into daily wear. And if anyone is still on the fence, I cannot recommend enough making the gay pirate wardrobe of your dreams. Lace up those stays, don that puffy shirt, swan about in your battle robe. Life is too short and too weird to not wear the things that make you happy. And when you do, post them to Instagram using the hashtag #OFMCosplay so I can share them. I want to see what kinds of closet cosplays all my croissants can pull together. I'll share them to my stories and gather them into a highlight to make a kind of family photo album that we can all see. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell if you like taking your chances with YouTube notifications. If you're interested in finding me on social media, I am at @OpusElani everywhere, and those links will all be in the description box. I'll also post the link to my Ko-fi where you can leave a one-time tip, browse my web shop, or join my membership tiers for additional content and a personal thank you of your very own in my next video. Until next time, be kind, do the work, continue supporting marginalized people, and keep creating. Hwyl!